Hello everyone. We are continuing with our series this morning. We want to go through preparation of construction program of works. This is a series from the Microsoft Office Project Masterclass by Mark Multimedia. Introduction. Completion within a specific time is an essential part of any building project. The majority of our building production management documents that handle that I handle, this is the construction program of work. Out of all the different type of documents we are considering the construction program of work now. It must be prepared in detail before the project will commence. This is very important so that every stakeholder may have true color of what is involved in the job and to decide how to in what order and time to do them. Construction program is a statement in a diagram format of what is to be done when it will be carried out. The purpose of construction program: to record agreed intention with client, to show consequence operations and total output rate, required labor and plans, to provide a good yardstick for monitoring process and project control. Important detail for consideration: when you are preparing a program of work, the following must be thoroughly considered. One, the gang should be balanced correctly so that fluctuation of labor is not in excess. You know, either you are working from the client's aspect or you are working from contractor or consultant aspect, you must be able to balance your gang output so that you don't bring in more labors and you don't find something to give them to work, and you don't bring less labor as well. Then your plant and equipment should be giving continuity of work throughout their duration on time. Take for example, you borrowed an equipment and you didn't plan how you are going to use it, and you are going to be paying maybe per day or per week or per month. It will cause a lot of shortage for you if you didn't consider. So those 2 points are very, very important. What are the attributes of a good construction program? One, it's very simple to understand by all project participants. When you get to some site, immediately you get to site, you see the program of work pasted, conspicuously in the conference room, the project meeting room there, and at a glance you must be able to see and know that okay, this project is meant for so month, and this is what is to be done at this particular time, and all the rest like that. It must be very simple to update if there is any change. If there's any change, in any parameter of the construction, you should be able to change effect that change on your program of work, and a new program of work will come out. It must be easily adapted for progress monitoring. One of the reasons for program of work is so that we can monitor progress. So you should be able to use your construction program to monitor the progress of work. Then it must provide as far as possible for all resources to be used continuously while on site. Then, because when you prepare program of work, all your resources must have been considered and put into play. Duration of its operation: to determine the duration of its operation for this project, information from construction methodology has to be analyzed. One of the construction documentation that is required by the National Building Code 2007 is the construction methodology. Before you program your program of work, you must know the methodology to be used in that program. You must know the methodology to be used in that program, and that must be taken into consideration while preparing your program of work. Then output per hour for plants and labor will have to be determined from previous project. As a company, if you are working for a company or you are a consultant and you want to see what a company is up to, it is the program of work you will look at, because they will have developed some constants for output per hour for plants, for labor, in, as a result of their previous experience. Then output will be used to determine the number of each type of plant, each gang, and the number of days to be used on a particular project. Factor to be considered in determining the gang size, plants, and number of gang for a project. Many people, when they prepare program of work, they just sit down in their office and just they said, okay, excavation of a 3 bedroom flat, for example, 3 days. They just assume it's 3 days. How did you know it will take 3 days? How did you come about that 3 days or 4 days or 1 week or 2 weeks. It's not just a guesstimate. It's not something you just sit down and guess. It's something that must be calculated. You must come out with factors. You know, come out with constants that will help you to determine all those things. One, the factor to consider is client's requirement. If your client has told you that I want this project in 3 months, that's a considerable factors that you must put into consideration. Or maybe your client doesn't, is not peculiar about your completion time. He wants you to determine the completion time. Then you look at many factors also, about the construction. Then you look at construction methods. Construction method, some of us, we are still in our construction style, we are still used to manual, form of workmanship. The plant and equipment used in our construction mostly is about 20 to 25 or maximum of 30%. But in some construction sites, in fact, mechanized construction activity is up to 70 or 80%. So your construction method will affect, is a factor to be considered in preparing your program of work. Then also site constraint. Is your site, located in a built up environment, or you are just in a free area that you can, organize your site the way you want. You can pace your work the way you want, or you are restricted by one factor or the other. Then availability of manpower in the location of your site. If you plan to use two gang, what are they going to be available? Then availability of appropriate plant and equipment is very, very important also. Then the output per gang, each gang of activity that you are working with, the carpenters, the iron benders, the bricklayers, the laborers, and all the rest of that. Each of the gang, you should be able to determine the output per gang. Then also your plant output. Your plant per output is very, very important. When you consider the plants, your mixer, for example, you must be able to know the capacity of your mixer. If you are using one mixer, what is the maximum number of concrete that mixer can produce per day or per hour, so that you know the total number per day. If you are using a crane, what is the capacity of the crane? For how many minutes will it take a crane to move your concrete from the ground floor, say, to the fifth floor? How many meter cube can it move in 1 hour? All those, outputs are very, very important. Then, factor to be considered in determining the number of days for a specific project task. When you are considering our program of work, the project task is very, very important. Like you must have listed the task in all your program before you start fixing the number of days, the start time and the finish time. Now, one, the quantities are specified in the BOQ is very, very important. Most of the time when we prepare bill of quantity, we just prepare bill of quantity, without considering the bill of quantity. It's not a good practice. Now, if the bill of quantity has told you that your excavation for that 3-bedroom flat or 3-bedroom duplex or that office complex is 200 meter cube, the excavation is 200 meter cube, you need to take that into consideration, because that will help you to know what's the size of your gang. When you know the size of your gang, maybe you have a 10-man gang of laborer, and the 10-man gang can come out with a particular output per hour and a particular output per day. Then that will help you to know how the number of days that it will take your gang to finish that 200 meter cube excavation. Then construction methodology is also very, very important. Like I've said, the methodology of your construction. Are you using manual excavation, or you want to use mechanical excavation for your project? Then the site constraint also will be considered. Then the number of gang available. Take for example, you have a site and you have your gang. Let's say your excavators, the gang of excavation is, you have about 3 gangs. That will actually affect the number of days for your task. So if you have a 3 gang and another contractor has only 1 gang, and you have to do 200 meter cube of excavation, definitely the two contractor cannot use the same hour to do it. Then another thing to consider is available plant and equipment. Are you 25% equipment ready, or you are 75% equipment ready for your construction well, then the output, per gang, the output of your gang, per hour or per day is very important, and the same thing goes for your uh, uh, equipment output. Then hour of work per day, this another area to be considered. Most of the time sites, construction sites open by 7 a.m, but work actually start by 8 a.m and close by 5 p.m. And between 7 and 8 you have the gang leader, selecting his gang member, taking attendance, getting ready, getting our tools, getting set, and by 8 o'clock work should start. Then there is 1 hour lunch break between 12 and 1 o'clock. So, and that actual production period is 8 hours. 8 hours for the day. But most of the time it's not easy to get 800% efficiency within those 8 hours. So to be on server side, you can pick your efficiency period to be 80%, that is productive time to be 80%. But if you are sure your supervision that you can effect 90% or even 100%, so be it, you can go along with it. But on to be on server side, 80% productive time, which can be taken. Then the actual number of hour per day that you get from your work will be 80% of 8 hours, which is 6 hours 40 minutes, or maybe approximately 6 hours. Then determine the gang size. You determine your gang size, then the number of gang for each operation. Then you have to determine the output of plant and equipment for each operation. Now calculations, let's go into a little calculation. We have some formulas that we need to master. One, duration in hour. The formula for duration in hour is quantity divided by output of gang per hour. Output of gang per hour. For example, when we have block work per meter square, the total number of bulk work will in a particular project activity is 350 meters square. Then output of gang per hour, this is a constant we know from our previous experience, from our previous project, is 2.5 meters square per hour. That is one gang we do that, and the total number of gang we have is 2 hours. Don't forget, a gang for block work is one bricklayer and one labor. One bricklayer and one labor. So the production is 2.5 meters square per hour. Using the above formula, the duration of work per for that work will be equal to quantity over output per gang. That is, the total quantity is 350 meters square, and our output per hour is 2.5. When you divide that, you get 140 hours. 140 hours. Let's take note of that. Then the formula 2 is total number of days. Total number of days, that's duration in hour divided by hour of work per day. Hour of work per day. Block per meter square is 350. Then our output is 2.5. The number of gang is 2. Then duration, as we calculated in the previous slide, is 140 hours. Now, hour of work per day per gang at 80% efficiency is 6 hours. Let's take it at 6 hours. But if your own efficiency is 85, 90, or 95, or 100, you can take it like that. Then using the above formula, we have the number of days. Number of days is 140 over 6. That is duration over hour work per day. That's 23.3 days. The next formula, formula 3, is number of days to complete that particular task. What we got in the last task is telling us the total number of hours to complete that task. Now, the total number of days is equal to total number of days divided by total number of gang. Number of days to complete our task is equal to total number of days divided by number of gang. Considering our information, the total number of days is 23.3 days. Then using the above formula, we have 23.3 days divided by 2. That's the number of our gang. The number of our gang, 2. The number of gang, 2. So that will give us 12 days approximately. So for 350 meters square of block work, for this project, using 2 gang, it's going to take approximately 12 days to finish that. And that will give us the number of days to input in our block work for that aspect of work. Another example, concrete work. So formula 1, looking at concrete in foundation, we have 150 meter cube. Output of gang per hour, 5 meter cube. Gang is equal to 2 bricklayers and 22 laborers working with a mixer. Number of gang available for the project, 2. Then using the above formula, duration will be equal to 150 meters square divided by 5. That's output per gang, and that will give us 30 hours. Then concrete in the second formula, applying the formula to get the total number of days. We have total number of days is equal to duration, that's 30 hours, divided by hour of work per day, that's 6 hours at 80% efficiency. So we have 5 days. And applying the third formula, the number of days to complete the task will be total number of days divided by number of gang. So number of days to complete the task will be 5 divided by 2, and that will give us 3 days approximately. So when we have 150 meter cube of concrete, say in foundation, then we can actually go into a program of work and input 3 days as the duration or the number of days to complete the task. So sequence of construction program of work preparation. When you want to prepare program of work, what are the things to do? One, you bring out information from construction methodology. I told you your construction methodology matters. Either you are using manual or mechanical or mixed manual and mechanical for your particular task and for the overall project. Now the type of formwork you are using, the type of scaffolding you want to use, the type of equipment you are using, and the complexity of the project. All those ones you get those information from your construction methodology. Then you list all major operations, all the major operations from the world. You list them out, and under the major operation you take note of the sub or minor operations that comes under them. Then you must know the sequence of operations. We all know that you cannot start oversight concrete, laying of oversight concrete, if you have not done your filling and hardcore filling. You can't do it. So you must know the operation, and you must list your operation, your task in sequence of operation, that is the sequence of construction. Then your gang size stroke output is very, very important, that you get them. Then period agreed with subcontractor. There are some of the work we want to do that is not directly under our purview. We have to give it out to subcontractor. We must get all this information from subcontractor. You don't assume that a subcontractor can use 3 days to do a work if you are not really confirmed and know his own information as per the size of gang and the number of gang available to do that particular work. Then the number of gang that you have for each of the operation, type and size of plant and equipment, key dates and activity timing. This is very, very important. Key dates and activity timing. When we talk about key dates, you know that there's some dates that you need to take care of. Now, take for example, you are running a program of work. You must take note of public holidays, the Saturdays, the public holidays, the general holidays, the non-working times. You must take care of everything in your program of work. And activity timing. There's some activity that requires a timing to process. Take for example, if you cast your concrete in lintel, for example, activity timing requires that you cannot remove the formwork, the sideboard, until after 24 hours. If it is column, you cannot remove it until after 24 hours. But if it's soffit or slab, for example, you cannot remove the formwork until after 28 days. Until after 28 days. So those timings are very, very important, so that in your program of work, you don't go and remove the formwork before that timing. It will be very wrong. It will push you into trouble, because your timing will be very, very wrong. Your timing will be very, very wrong. But when you take note of those days, then construction cycle. Construction cycle is also a very important aspect. A very important aspect. Construction timing cycle is a very important aspect, in the sense that if you look at your construction timing, take for example, you have your first floor. Maybe your building is a multi-level building. You have a multi-level building construction project. Now you know that if you don't finish the first floor, you cannot go to the second floor. If you don't complete the first floor, you cannot go to the second floor, and many other activities like that. The process, the cycle must be completed before you can go to the other wall. So you must take note of all these. You must take note of all these. You can do sequence. The next one is sequence of construction program of work. The next thing is sequence of construction program preparation. The sequence of construction program preparation. Now, for you to prepare your construction program of work, one, you compile your quantities from the bill. From your bill of quantity, compile all your quantities. Then prepare calculation sheet. Example is the calculation I've done abroad. Prepare all the calculation for each of the tasks. How many days do you have? When you get your quantities from the bill, form work, 100 meters square, excavation, 200 meters square cube, concrete, 150-meter cube, reinforcement, 3 tons or 3,000 kilograms, and all the rest of that. You compile your quantities, from that. Then you prepare your calculation sheet. Calculate based on your number of gang, the size gang, and all the rest of that, and you get all the number of days that you need for your program. Then you list task item, the task item in sequence and in order. You start with site clearance, your site preparation. That we have site clearance, we have removal of topsoil, then we have excavation, excavation. Then you have your blinding, you have your foundations, and all the rest like that. Then insert duration. When you list your task in your program of work, that is in the Microsoft Office project, then you insert durations. The duration that you have prepared from the calculation sheet, you just insert the duration. Then calculate network using your computer. When you look at it, you see the network, the way they work together in your computer. Then you view your program of work on the monitor. When you look at the task pane and the Gantt pane, the timeline, you see the graph as you are inserting your number of days, the start date, and after your calculation, you start the start date and the end date. You see them, the bar charts moving. Then edit your header and footer. Edit your header and footer. That is the title of the program, the footer, and all the rest of that. Then you print PDF. Edit font size, font type, size, and logo. You want to put your company logo. You want to put maybe a specific instruction pictures there. You can add it on it. Then print PDF copy and study. Now, the reason for this is this. Construction program most of the time to print them is very, very tedious. So if you don't check for error before you print, you may end up wasting paper, time, and ink. You first of all print them in PDF. Then you study the PDF copy and note all the error. Then you correct, the error. Now you can now reduce, adjust task, and project time. Sometimes you look at it, by the time you prepare, you discover that you have a bigger you have more time than expected, or maybe you submitted and your superior or your superior officer actually believe you can do this project better, maybe, or the timing you gave is too short. Go and increase it or go and reduce it. You should do all those adjustments. Then reprint your PDF, and check for error. Check for error again, then print the final copy of your program of work. Thank you.